Real quick,
Yeah.
don't answer if you're not comfortable with it. But in terms of your family, how safe did you feel as a child? Like between just a scale of 1 to 10?
Um, it would totally depend on the kind of the time frame
Mm-hmm.
because there was a time where, my parents were getting divorced and it was not always the nicest environment to be.
Yes.
Also, at school with, little kids or whatever, or middle school when everyone's all hormoned up, like it's not always the safest place to be in a sense. Like things
Mhm.
are very shaky and unsteady.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I felt safe with some things, but not everything. And it's looking back, kind of in my before high school, or there were some spotty parts in high school, but um, kind of before that, around when all those family issues were going on, I did not feel the safest overall. In the
Okay.
sense, not like I was in danger of being harmed or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, like, being steady, the feeling of being steady.
Yeah.
So I felt very unsteady in a lot of environments because things changed all the time and they're always charged
Mm-hmm.
situations. So,
So when you're for who you are now, it's pretty much just repeating the question, but as you are now, if you were to say just go back in time and you were to guide yourself through that, do you think you would be able to do it very well?
I would, I mean, that's like raising a child. Like,
That's true.
I would want to slap the shit out of myself, but it's all coming down to like that patience, that humility, like, all those things I was talking about earlier.
I'd slap myself.
I would have to, it would be certainly an exercise because I know exactly how I was feeling at those times. And I had people telling me good things, these things that I'm speaking about right now. I've seen these things, I've witnessed these things. There are plenty of role models in my life modeling these things. So I would want to say yes because I would, I'm like, confidence in myself and these things I know. But then again, I've never had to parent a child.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be something I'd have to figure out, I'd say. But I'd say
You're
generally
just gonna have a child and just test it.
test it. Well,
Just in
isn't that
case
what
you-
it is? I mean,
That's
that's
true.
also what you're doing with kids, I guess, is trying to.
I feel bad for people now, just in general.
Yeah.
Like, people just pop out kids just to try stuff.
Oh, yeah. But
Oh,
I would say overall, I probably would. Although, that would be a very odd situation. They should probably make a movie about that. But like, how the hell would that family life work? When it's like, hey, I'm that guy.
I'm
10,
I'm this 4-year-old
13 years
kid.
later, or even 18 years later. And how the parents would be like, okay, what, like, there's a lot more going on here. Like, I wouldn't be able to
happening?
chill in that area. But, all that aside, I feel like I would be both fascinated and weirded out by myself. I'd be like, what the fuck? But also like, oh, that's a little, it's interesting,
That's funny.
like, how's that going on? Like, even just with exercise,
Uh-huh.
like just the amount I'm running now, even though it's not a crazy amount, as a kid, I'd be like, what? Who the hell would do that?
Yeah,
like,
that's crazy.
crazy. Or every day, exercising, even though as a kid you're running around getting a shit ton of exercise. But if
Yeah.
you told me like, hey, avoid this food, or this person avoids this food and exercises this much, as a kid, I'd be like, you're stupid. Like, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're like. Are you kidding me? That's so weird.
Yeah, you should just
So
do whatever you want to do. Just
feel
eat
like-
whatever you want to eat.
yeah, but I know I'm a very curious person and explorative with ideas sometimes. And so I feel like I'd be fascinated with myself to bounce off things like, hey, what do you think about this random thing? And then I could be like, I know what you're thinking, and I have the perfect answer for that. Or, just be humble. I don't have the answer for that, but here's something I do know about it. So I feel like overall it'd be weird, but I think generally, yeah. Same question applied to you?
Well, I wouldn't say I felt the safest either in terms of my emotional and psychological well-being. Just my parents were never there for me. They were always working. I was pretty much to myself.
Would you say just emotionally there for you?
Like my parents?
Yeah.
No, I didn't speak to them about my feelings or anything at all.
Gotcha.
So it was just a lack of communication, lack of physical touch. Pretty much, it just felt like a huge absence of a person, even though they were still here, still living in the same house with me, that type of stuff. It just felt like a huge absence, and I didn't really have anything.
Oh, damn.
So I think this. I think that's why whenever I listed a bunch of those signs that, or possibilities that of signs for a child and to work through, it just a lot hit with me because my parents were never around. I wanted to get their attention, so I would always try to please them. I was a people pleaser. I try to please everyone around me because that's what I was kind of, I guess, grew up doing. I a lot of anxiety, as you know. I'm always hard on myself. I am admitting a lot, but you know how hard I can be on myself, and I didn't realize that was a possibility for I guess connecting with being neglected. I never knew that kind of went hand in hand. But like I said, all my emotional needs were kind of ignored. I always had to hide or avoid them. And I wouldn't say I have any mental or physical illnesses because of it. However, in high school, it did affect me physically, my anxiety. I wouldn't say that goes quite hand in hand, even though anxiety goes with it.
It's like
it just
one of the
keeps
pieces.
stemming. Yeah.
One of the pieces to the puzzle. It's not the whole story, but it might be a little bit of it.
Definitely. But I always had high expectations for myself and always felt like I was falling short. I wanted to bring, best grades, be a perfectionist, be what I thought my parents wanted me to be, and be kind to everyone and be, selfless. I wanted to be there for everyone, which was very unhealthy because it's just unhealthy.
Well, yeah, if you give yourself to everyone, there's nothing left.
Yeah, and that stemmed off of not just being neglected, really. So it's definitely a lot. It goes into, I wouldn't say I necessarily have an eating disorder, but I do struggle with eating. And, that's also one of the things about being neglected. I wouldn't say, like I said, I wouldn't say I had that. And it stems off addiction and stuff. But I just kind of hit a lot with it, which it really sucks.
Giant therapy.
It really sucks.
Hey, here's one thing I've learned though, is just because there's pain doesn't mean it's bad. Sometimes feeling the pain and just like processing it is one of the best things you can like do, hands down. So, things that suck, like having to think about it or be like, oh fuck, that's me. That's always a good thing in a sense, because then you can, it's that awareness, and then you can move from there.
Yeah.
So
this is just a big like Fuck
So
you.
when you were researching this, you were just like, oh God, like you were
Yeah, I
you
was
going
just
through a
reading.
bunch of mental things like, oh man, who am I?
No, pretty much. I was just writing stuff down. I was like, that's me. That's me. That's me.
Because
Oh yeah, I've been neglected in these different ways.